Hey, what's up guys? Casey Dimon here, TaxSaleAcademy.com, and thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Now, before I forget, at the very end of this video, if you do enjoy this video or any other video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. Okay, today we're talking about the negotiated sales process. And this can be kind of similar to OTC or over-the-counter properties, which is so popular amongst beginning investors, especially those with small budgets. Now, this will differ just a little bit from OTC properties because you can't just walk in and buy that property over the counter. It requires a little bit of extra work. Okay, so in most states, the liens or deeds will be sold. They'll be offered initially at that auction for the amount that's owed, the delinquent taxes, interest, penalties, fees, any advertising costs, all that kind of stuff. That's where the bidding is going to start, okay? If the property goes unsold, if nobody bids that number, a few different things can happen. In some states, they can actually offer these OTC or over-the-counter. So that's where you walk in, you pay for them, and you walk out owning the property. I've got videos on that here on my YouTube channel, so be sure just to type in over-the-counter OTC, and they'll pop up. So today, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the negotiated sales process. So in a negotiated sales process, the whole process is going to start just like every other tax sale property, and that's where the taxes, of course, go delinquent. Then it goes to the sale, and then nobody buys it at the sale for the minimum bid. From there, the county will take ownership of that deed or of that lien, and they'll work to sell it in a negotiated manner. Now, they might do this initially, like the day after the auction. They'll say, okay, bring all offers. Or they might say, after 6 months, we'll start accepting offers, or maybe 2 years, or whatever the situation is. Every area is just a little bit different. But similar to a listing on the open market, a negotiated sale is just that. You are negotiating your purchase price. Now, you'll sometimes have a suggested offer amount, and they expect that or pretty close to it. Other times, they won't give you any idea of what they want for that piece of property. The basics, though, are going to be very simple. You either submit a signed offer agreement, or in some more informal areas, you just send a letter and say, this is the property I want, the parcel number, here's my offer amount. And typically, they'll also want your full payment. Typically, it's going to also be in the cashier's or certified funds of some sort. And then you sit back and you wait. And the offer is going to be reviewed by the county government, maybe the county attorney, and it might even have to go before the county commission for some sort of vote on it, okay? If they reject that offer, your funds are going to be returned to you. In some situations, they might even decide to counteroffer, and you actually go back and forth with them. In that event, what they'll do, if they do accept your offer, is they'll retain those funds, they'll prepare your deed, then they'll mail you that deed in the mail. In some situations, you actually won't even know that they accepted your offer until you receive that deed. It might put it back on the back burner, forget about it, that kind of stuff. And speaking of that, the process can be very, very lengthy, okay? Many bids will require multiple approvals, and especially in smaller rural areas, these approvals will have to come from the staff members, from the county employees, from the elected officials that might only meet once a month or maybe even once a quarter. So be very patient and understand you have to play by the rules if you want to get involved in negotiated sales. Now, before we move forward, let's talk about where you can get the list of properties that might be available for a negotiated sale. That'll come from the county or the state office, depending on who handles it in that area. And what I always do is I always start with a specific county. And if you don't find anything on their website, maybe call them or email them and ask them specifically what happens to the properties that went unsold at the tax sale auction. Of course, it could be just a straight OTC purchase, or it could be the negotiated sales process like we're talking about today. Something else to keep in mind is that the county's purpose behind the whole tax sale process really consists of two things. Number one, to recoup those delinquent taxes that they were owed from the property. And number two, to return that property to the tax roll as a tax revenue producing property once again. And number two, return that property to the tax roll is usually going to be the most important in many situations. Now, as far as what to offer, if you don't have any guideline or anything like that, or maybe you just want to throw a number out there, understand this. I've seen very, very good offers completely get rejected before. Then I've also been involved in situations where I've submitted ridiculously low offers that were accepted. I thought it was a complete shot in the dark, and they said yes. Actually, one of the first sets of properties that I purchased through a negotiated sales process was in a county that required any offers to be approved at a monthly county commission meeting. I actually didn't know this when I submitted the offer, because it was stupid low, and I was a little bit embarrassed once I found out that they were going to be announcing my name, my offer amount at the county commission meeting. But my offer was for $75 per lot for 10 different lots in one subdivision. They weren't continuous lots, they were kind of scattered out. I gave them $750, said these are lots I want, that's $75 a lot. Now each lot was worth around $1,000 or so, so we aren't talking about any gold mine type properties or anything that fancy, obviously. Very, very cheap stuff. But I thought for sure that I would end up being the laughing stock of that meeting. And since I'm a few states away, I didn't go to the meeting or anything like that, but the next morning I did get an email, and it had the minutes of that meeting. It had all the business and all that good stuff on it, and it said, Casey Dimon wanted to buy these properties, $750 for 10 properties in this subdivision. And then it says, all 5 commissioners, yay, they approved my bid. And I couldn't believe it. It just really kind of shocked me more than anything. But what happened was all these properties, by the time I bought them and sold them and everything else, it turned out to be very, very profitable for me, extremely profitable. And I'll tell you this story just to let you know that whatever you offer, there could very well be a chance of them accepting it. So keep that in mind. Again, you could have a ridiculously high offer they say no to, and a very, very low offer they say yeah, absolutely. So it never hurts to submit an offer for the negotiated sales properties. Now, as with all tax sale properties, the values lie in the underlying asset, which is that real estate. So don't go around and just start submitting $50 bids on every single property on that list. There are lots and lots and lots of useless properties that are offered OTC, through negotiated sales, and through surplus type sales. And it's extremely important that you purchase with even more diligence than you usually use when you research your typical tax sale list prior to making any offers. So if you're thinking about making an offer, make sure you double and triple check yourself before you submit that offer if it's on an OTC or negotiated sales type list. So get out there, get that list, research those properties diligently, and start making some offers. It's a great way to get started if, and that's a huge if, you are thorough and accurate in your research and your strategy on how you're going to sell that property. That's it for today, guys. If you're looking to learn more about investing in tax-defaulted real estate, including strategies such as this one, as buying properties through negotiated sales, and all the other details, processes, and tips that we've learned over the past 16 plus years in this business, head on over to taxsaleacademy.com, and while you're there, make sure you pick up a copy of Tax Sale Playbook. I'm going to give you the book absolutely free. It's a physical copy I want to ship to you. All that I ask is you cover the shipping cost to get it from my warehouse to your front door, which is $4.97. And if you buy it today or in the next month or so, I'll even make sure you get a signed copy as well. Another great resource for you guys to get started is going to the same website, taxsaleacademy.com, and clicking on that free web class link. It's a 1-hour-long training on buying, selling, and profiting from tax-defaulted real estate. That's it, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.